Canada Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Everywhere you go, your manners are with you, and they leave their mark. They help you feel sure of yourself, too, and they make an impression on people.
Demonstrators wreaked havoc in Washington, D.C. and destroyed storefront windows.
It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation.
Make political commitments to curb population growth.
We didn't simulate this. We didn't practice.
What the hell do they let the reporters in there for?
MK Ultra.
8 million adults are affected by it.
Don't try it.
There will be no outcome that leaves Saddam Hussein in power.
A brand new group called ISIL.
We're speeding up training of ISIL forces.
The one person who wasn't random was the security guard.
America was founded as a constitutional republic.
50 incumbents out. Send citizens to Washington.
I will totally obliterate the deep state. We will obliterate the deep state.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Altered State. I am Zak Paine, and joining me tonight, because Brad has some issues with the power. I guess a tree fell down in the Alaskan tundra on one of the only power, I guess the only power line that brings power to his property, is my good friend Jordan Sather. Jordan, how are you, sir?
I was thinking, man, how many technicians do they have on that wee little island in Alaska that, oh man, that's gotta be
not many.
You're up, man.
Brad said earlier, well, he did a show last night. Of course, they had Brad and Abby live, and they were able to get it to work measurably using his phone. They had Adrian on, and I guess he's got a new episode of his series that's out right now on Dauntless Dialogue. I would highly recommend everybody subscribe to Dauntless Dialogue. It is an incredible streaming service, and obviously they're friends of this channel, friends of my channel. I'm sure they're friends of Jordan's channel as well. Anyways, go ahead and subscribe, and you guys will have ample opportunity to watch everything they offer. But Adrian was there last night, and he said that it was kind of okay. Mostly it wasn't okay, and a lot of people were talking about how bad it sounded in the chat. So he thought that the power was going to be on by now, and at the time that he contacted me, it was about 22 hours without power, and he was like, if it's going to go on much longer, I'm going to have to go into town and get some gasoline for the generator. And I guess that when
the generator, fire that up.
Yeah, so on his way back, he said that he saw the actual tree that had fallen on his power line, and they were finally cutting it. But then, of course, there's a whole other series of issues. I mean, once they cut the tree, then they've got to have the power company come and string the line back up. So I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I don't know how many possible technicians they could have on that little island.
Probably like 2.
Yeah, if that. All right. Well, Jordan, what have you been up to?
Man, I've been following a lot of MAHA recently, actually.
Ooh, good. I was hoping we could talk some MAHA tonight.
Yeah, diving in, because I've seen, there's influencers are a dime a dozen these days, and they've got a million different narratives they throw out there, and you've got a lot of black pillars. Well, speaking of black pillars, I've been following a lot of this drama between Candace Owens and Tim Pool and Fuentes, and they all hate each other, and I hate all of them. But
crazy.
Yeah. But some of the black pillars, I've seen them throw out comments that RFK Jr. is doing nothing. All he's done is ban food coloring. Ooh, big whoop. But, I track this with my co-host Nate every single Friday. We've got MAHA News on Badlands, and so we've been following what's been going on in the MAHA arena for months and months, and there's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. People are fundamentally underinformed, and they think if they don't see something go viral, or if there isn't a press conference, or if their, favorite mainstream media outlet isn't reporting on it, then it simply hasn't happened. But I would argue that there has been so much happening, it would be impossible for them to go out there and continually present each and everything individually to the American public and make a case as to why they're doing it. I mean, they have had a series of announcements talking about a number of initiatives and changes that have been made. And, I think that the way that they've gone about it, like at a macro level, is rather than just coming in and like stopping everything that previous administrations had brought in, because let's be really honest, the bureaucracy of the pharmaceutical industrial complex as created through the HHS system is massive. Okay, we're talking decades upon decades of things that have been put into place that are not good for Americans, whether it be simply, the dietary recommendations or the processes that farmers are supposed to adhere to, through USDA. I mean, the list goes on and on. And on top of that, HHS has, I don't even know how many separate sub-organizations that fall underneath it, but each and every one of those sub-organizations has its own unique bureaucracy with its own set of rules and statutes that they've come up with over the years. And in order to do away with all of that and ensure that this is a change that is going to be made forever, they have to make a case for it on an individual basis. And, one of the things that the mainstream media loves to do is to attack people, calling them conspiracy theorists or saying that their ideas are anti-science. And what RFK and all of these different heads of these organizations beneath them have done has been to use the science of the deep state against themselves, to come in and to make the case, to prove what is the rationale for why we're doing this. And then even if they just chip away at something and then they say, well, guess what? We found something else. And so we're now going to take it a little bit farther. And, at the end of the day, they will have a body of scientific evidence to support every change that they've made and every challenge to the status quo. I mean, personally, I think it's genius, but there's just a lot of people who they don't seem to be able to capture that big tent view of it.
Or they want everything right now. Yes. And they believe that the whole system needs to be destroyed right away, which I would love that in a utopian world. But they also miss the fact that a small step, you just said small step, or a baby step can go a long way.
Absolutely.
You don't necessarily need to tear down the whole system. All you need to do is put a little detail out there to the public, and that will plant the seed in people's minds to make them question and disconnect and reject the system at large. So, you could take vaccines, for instance. Just by RFK Jr. firing the CDC's ACIP committee, which is their immunization practices like advisory committee, RFK earlier this year fired everybody on it, replaced everybody on it. And one little news story, like an internal FDA memo, this happened last week. An internal FDA memo was leaked, and one of the vaccine officials at the FDA suggested that the COVID vaccine killed 10 children.
Yes.
Internal FDA memo leaked. That little story is just making shockwaves through the mainstream media and through the internet discourse. So small things. Or, people look at the issue of banning food coloring as being a nothing burger, which in the grand scheme of things, it's a very small, minor issue in terms of all the toxins and everything put into our food. But that small change, banning food colorings, is causing companies to go, well, at least some companies, not all of them, but like Tyson Foods, for instance, which big mega shit food corporation, but they're now saying that they're going to be removing artificial sweeteners and corn syrups, high fructose corn syrups, and titanium dioxide and other things from their products as well. So
it's a ripple effect.
A ripple effect, exactly. A little can go a long way. And when you go down the list of everything that has happened in our health agencies, spearheaded by the MAHA movement over the past 10, 11 months, you have not just the food colorings, but there's a lot going on with vaccines, and they have to do it with baby steps. Otherwise, the system would fight back, and the system is fighting back, but you have to do it bit by bit. But there's a lot going on with that ACIP committee, with that internal FDA memo, with FDA head McCary coming out last week and saying, no, we're not approving this mRNA flu shot because there was no science behind it. Like probably the first time I've ever heard of a 3-letter health agency not rubber stamping a vaccine ever.
Yes.
They're not doing that now. In terms of, I think I just saw today, this is one, I love what Bhattacharya is doing at CDC, Makari is doing at FDA, and RFK is doing at HHS. But Brooke Rollins, director of the USDA,
yes,
I've been waiting on her. She's the one that we've been following for months, and she has
People were
not
skeptical.
impressed me.
Yeah,
she has not impressed me. But today she did impress me.
Regenerative farming.
Yep, regenerative farming. They're putting a load of money into
700 million.
Load of investments into regenerative farming, which is huge. I'm waiting for the USDA to roll back some of the regulations on beef inspecting, and I would like the FDA to roll back their regulations on interstate raw milk commerce. You can't sell raw milk in separate states. But bit by bit, and I could continue going down the list of all the big wins. They're looking at the baby formulas and the contamination of baby formula. They're looking at tons of different things. So,
you mentioned Marty Makary, and I actually had a clip from Marty Makary. He went on PDB the other day, Patrick Bet-David's podcast. And
he's dropping bombs, dude. He's going on all these podcasts and just dropping bombs.
Yes. Now, for anybody who thinks nothing is happening, or that, the people who are in charge of the current American health bureaucracy, I want you to listen to what Marty Makary talks about here on Patrick Bet-David, because it is stunning, the admissions that he makes and the things that he talks about. He could have been on an episode of Baseless Conspiracies here.
Okay, and what does that really mean? If I were to ask you right now, where did AIDS come from? What would you say?
And speaking of the film, thank you, Dr. Fauci, they explore a non-traditional narrative which has not gotten the attention it deserves, and that is that it may very well have come from a lab in Africa.
Okay, so D Patriot says there are calls for Marty to be fired. Of course there are, because he's talking about not only AIDS, but in the same clip, Lyme disease being created as biological weapons. Keep listening.
AIDS could have come from a lab in Africa.
HIV.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know where HIV came from, but how many people have Lyme disease, including people we know?
Mm-hmm.
Where did Lyme disease come from? I can tell you with a high degree of probability, it came from Lab 257 on Plum Island, just outside of Connecticut, 25 miles from Lyme, Connecticut, where the first case was described. How do we know that? First of all, you can read the book Bitten, and it's a great book. When the Nazi war criminal doctors were executed in Nuremberg, at least one of them was spared and brought to the United States so that he could, his mind could be used by the U.S. military for so-called biodefense. And they put him on Plum Island, and he had said very openly that he believed an incredible form of biowarfare was infecting ticks. And that's what Lyme disease is. And then it shows up 25 miles away. And by the way, that's not the only thing that showed up close by. They found half rat, half deer carcasses on what's it called on in the Hamptons, the last town, Montauk. Yeah, it washed up in Montauk. This is like in the 90s. What the hell's going on there? Again, a bunch of mad scientists doing things, and all these people have Lyme disease. How many physicians know that it came from Lab 257? That Lyme disease came from? Approximately 1%, right? Because these are things we are never honest with ourselves. That just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. And sometimes we can cause more harm than we can good by messing with Mother Nature.
Absolutely.
Holy Operation
stunning.
Paperclip, man.
Exactly. At least one Nazi came over. Yeah, many more than just the one. He's
not
like,
a couple thousand.
Gonna leave it open there for you. You guys do your own research. But yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible. the team that President Trump and RFK have been able to put together, I think it's a dream team.
Well,
And
just today as well, some Democrat representative introduced article of impeachment for RFK.
isn't that interesting? I actually have the clip for that too.
Beautiful.
Hold on. So this woman is the same one who is on the floor of the House screaming while wearing a pair of latex gloves because this is like during the pandemic or something like that. She's a rep from Michigan. Hold on. Let me
Michigan, your favorite place, bro.
Yeah, my favorite place. Hold on. I got to play you the clip first of who this woman is.
Look for that clip. So I've been writing a Substack article that I'm looking to drop later this week. How successful has the MAHA movement been? The wins keep stacking up. I'm just detailing every single win of MAHA. So we talked about food coloring, which are causing companies like Tyson to drop a lot more preservatives and toxins from their food. Vaccines, firing and replacing the ACIP committee. They discontinued recommending the Hep B shot at birth.
Yes.
The FDA denied the mRNA flu shot. FDA memo that COVID vaccines killed 10 children. They're redoing the food pyramid. The new USDA food guidelines are supposed to come out here in December this month, bringing back gold standard science. Just last week, a major medical journal retracted an article on glyphosate.
Yep.
That said glyphosate is fine for us because it was found that Monsanto basically ghost wrote it and paid off the scientists to call glyphosate safe. So the journal rescinded that. RFK has been calling out the New England Journal of Medicine and other journals as well. He's also getting the FDA out of being a medical mafia, out of policing small supplement manufacturers, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Marty McCarty's been coming out talking about the microbiome and other actual health issues, which I've never seen the head of an FDA do. Kennedy's been sounding the alarm about microplastics. He's also been sounding the alarm about geoengineering, constant discussion of how sick and weak and obese we are. Exercise as well. RFK Jr. and Pete Hegseth doing their workout challenge. Trump bringing back the presidential fitness test. And
it's so ridiculous to me when they try to flame RFK and Pete Hegseth for being buff. Like, I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about exercise since like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want to say that was like the George H.W. Bush administration or something like that. Like the last time I heard anything about the presidential fitness test, it's been decades. And I mean, no wonder, look at the state of the nation. It's messed up.
Let's be real. RFK is definitely doing some TRT, but to be 70 some odd years old and being able to bust out 10, 15 pull-ups is even on TRT, that's impressive.
It sure is. Okay. All right. So her name is Representative Haley Stevens, and she's a maniac. I know I played this like on the show.
She's got the finger going.
She's got the finger going. And the only thing she doesn't do is the clapping. But look at her with these pink latex gloves.
Let's see if she does the bird hand.
Sharing in the profession with those who have not come before you. Similar times of trying medical need, wars and flus past. You will see darkness. You will be pushed. And our society needs you to stand together at this time. Our country loves you. To our doctors and our nurses, I wear these latex.
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman from Maryland is reserves. The gentleman from Texas is recognized. The gentleman from Texas.
She had been speaking for like a full 3 minutes past like when she was supposed to stop.
Is she speaking about RFK?
No. At this point, she is speaking about COVID lockdowns. And she was saying, we need to trust the science and we need to stand with our doctors and our nurses because they're out there on the front lines and you will be tested of pandemics past and pandemics future.
So that clip was from a few years ago.
That clip was from a few years ago. But now
it's the same lady.
It's the same lady. Yes.
Gotcha.
Representative Haley Stevens. So you can see she's very passionate about the science. And she says that Kennedy has turned his back on science, which is endangering Americans. Now, you saw her there 5 years ago. Take a look at how her health has stacked up in the last 5 years. She's put on a couple of pounds.
RFK turned his very jacked striated back on the science.
Yeah, so RFK is in way better shape than she is. You know, she's not fat by any measure, but she's definitely been sitting a lot more than she was previously.
Put on a few.
The energy that she had 5 years ago isn't quite there either. So I would have to imagine she's at least been jabbed on a number of occasions. But here she is. RFK has to go.
Has got to go. Today, I introduced articles of impeachment to remove him from office. RFK Jr. has turned his back on science, on public health, and on the American people. Under his watch, families are less safe, healthcare costs are skyrocketing, and life-saving research, including right here in Michigan, is being gutted. RFK Jr. is the biggest self-created threat to our health and safety. I cannot and I will not stand by while one man dismantles decades of medical progress. Enough is enough. And that is why I'm pushing to impeach RFK Jr., to hold him accountable, and to protect the health, safety, and future of every Michigander. Because our health, our science, and our future are worth fighting for.
So clearly she did a little bit of PR training since the last dust up where she got some viral fame. They said, listen, Haley, you're just going to have to bring it down about 5 to 10 notches because
her handlers sent her to some PR school.
You looked like a maniac last time. So it's funny. It's funny because, I mean, we know that the decades of scientific and medical advancement have led to the worst public health crisis in American history. I mean, we are sicker, fatter, more unhealthy generally than we've ever been in our entire history as a nation. You can go back to the Industrial Revolution, Jordan, okay? Like men spending 18 hours a day inside of a coal mine, going into a dirty Ford auto production plant with diesel fumes surrounding them, and they were still healthier than people are today.
Not just this country, but I just saw a statistic of our world, and for the first time in human history, more people are sick with obesity than sick from being underweight on this planet. Crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. And generally across the board around the world, lifespan is decreasing. It's decreasing at a more rapid rate here in the United States. But overall, around the world, people are dying sooner. And this is also the first time in history that that's happened as well, because we've always been taught that the advancements in medical science would make us healthier, it would help us live longer. And this is ostensibly what the medical community was always striving for, was to keep us healthier and keep us alive longer. But I think it's pretty obvious to anybody paying attention that the true goal of modern science and medical advancement was to keep us sicker for longer, to keep us in need of medical attention for as long as we possibly can. You know, there's another thing here that I think is really going to affect the medical community going forward. And I saw somebody in the chat say earlier that doctors and hospitals, nothing's changed in regards to MAHA. Again, we're talking about decades of entrenched bureaucratic I guess, bloat.
And I don't think the real goal is to change the medical system. I think the ultimate goal is to get people to take their health seriously and ultimately be their own doctor.
I would agree.
So they don't need to go to hospitals as much, or they don't necessarily listen or bow down to whatever the Mr. White Lab Coat guy says. They can be informed consumers and make their own decisions.
Exactly. So people become smarter. They question the advice of these supposed healthcare professionals, and they start to come to the realization, well, the healthcare systems that have been set up, these are businesses. It's like boards that are seeking to maximize shareholder value. The boards that are running these hospital systems are seeking to maximize profits for the shareholders of these hospital systems. And so, generally speaking, that means bleeding as much money as you possibly can from the patient, and oftentimes from the federal government, which is their number one customer. And we've just found out recently from the efforts of CMS and Medicaid and all of these other agencies under RFK's purview, is that there was really hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud that was taking place on a yearly basis. Not only are people being given bills that are just completely outrageous because they can get away with it. Healthcare costs have risen as a result of Obamacare. But there were also ghost patients that were in the systems. And so these insurance companies were collecting premiums on people who simply didn't exist. And despite that, despite the record profits, they were still increasing the costs for the people who were truly alive. And so President Trump's plan to take all of that money that would otherwise flow directly into Obamacare and give it to people so that they can go ahead and just get their own medical care, rather, like, you know, I have health insurance through a private agency right now. It's like Florida Healthcare or something like that. And I pay $550 a month today. Okay. But this is like the last time that I'm paying $550 a month. It's going to triple or more for my bill for January. And so there's no way I'm not going to be paying that. Even at $550 a month, I already thought it was insane. No, it's way too much. And I only go to the doctor twice a year. So you know what? I'm just going to, I will count on the fact that I'm not going to go to the hospital. Probably a pretty good chance that I will not have to go to the hospital. And when I go to the doctor's office, I'll, hey, I'm self-pay. Charge me $70 or whatever it might be. I'll pay for my tests out of pocket if I got to take a test. But it's still going to be less money than paying $550 a month to Florida Healthcare. So I think that'll have a huge impact. The money will be taken out, put back into people's hands, and the insurance companies and healthcare providers and healthcare systems will no longer have their hands in the cookie jar.
I'm all for mainstream medicine when it comes to emergency care. Break something, car accident, whatever. Emergency care, fine. But preventative, it is not in the business of actual preventative care. So I think the ultimate goal of the MAHA movement is just to get people realizing, oh, wow, I'm not a slave to my genetics. In fact, my behavior influences my genes and how healthy I am. Maybe I should eat better to not be so sick or not get chronic illness in the future. Maybe I shouldn't jab my kid with 70 shots before he's 18. Maybe that's causing some neurological harm and playing a part in that autism.
Yes.
Right. So.
Yeah, good stuff. Listen, before we continue this conversation any longer, I do want to go and give a shout out to our first sponsor of the evening. That's going to be our friends over at Pet Club. So we'll be right back.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
All right. Thank you very much to the good folks at Pet Club and also ourselves at Badlands Shop. You guys, when your favorite Badlands show wraps up without a raid, you got to visit the Badlands website to explore our incredible sponsors. From products featured on the show to kickstarting your shopping list, the Badlands Shop has got you covered. You saw Jordan on there. From every purchase you make is a powerful vote for the future that you believe in. We make it easy to shop America first, supporting Badlands creators and patriot small businesses that champion freedom. You're not just buying a product, you're fueling a movement with every dollar spent. Thank you for supporting businesses that support Badlands Media. Head on over to badlandsmedia.tv and click shop from the menu, or go directly to badlandsmedia.tv/shop. Thank you for supporting businesses that support Badlands Media. Okay. All right.
All right.
So I don't think that Representative Haley Stevens is going to be successful in her impeachment of RFK. Sri Tanadar has also brought articles of impeachment. He's the crazy mop-haired Indian guy who doesn't know who he even represents. I saw when he had filed articles of impeachment against President Trump, this Detroit reporter, Charlie LaDuff, I think his name is, he interviewed him outside of his office, and he was like, what areas of Detroit do you represent? And he was like, like he had no idea. Like he didn't know neighborhoods, and Charlie was quizzing him, and he was totally stuck. The only thing that he knew is that Trump bad, need to impeach. And now he's done the exact same thing with Pete Hegseth, saying that Pete Hegseth needs to be impeached for murder and conspiracy to murder, which is totally insane. I mean, I can see exactly what they're doing with this thing. I mean, they've been harping on this like double tap. I know you said you were gone for a few weeks, but do you know about this?
Yeah. So drug boat gets bombed.
Yes.
Traffickers jump back on the boat. They hit it again with another missile. And they're trying to, of course, frame Trump and Hegseth for war crimes and all this stuff. But there's a couple of very important technical distinctions here.
Correct.
First of all, war has of course, we use war like war on drugs and war on obesity. We use it very colloquially, but it has technical and constitutional definitions, legal definitions.
Yes.
War means sovereign nation state attacking or in battle with another sovereign nation state.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about narco traffickers or a cartel, that is not that group is not a sovereign nation state. So technically, legally and constitutionally, it is not war. There is no war that needs to be declared by President Trump for bombing narco traffickers. Okay.
Yes.
And as well for these boats that are out in the Caribbean, right? You know, fishing boats with like 1,500 horsepower engines and shit.
$2 million worth of outboards.
Yeah. They must be dropping crab pots off at full speed. I've never seen crabbers do that before.
Yeah.
It is also not against international maritime law to attack those boats because those boats are not flying national flags.
No, they're not.
International maritime law has it that when a vessel is flying its nation's flag, that is a representative of that sovereign nation state. So then that vessel is thereby protected by international maritime law. These narco trafficker boats are not flying any nation's flag because they're not representative of any nation. They are cartel. They are, you know, it's not a violation of any kind of maritime law to bomb those boats since they are non-sovereign.
Absolutely. No, that's the perfect take. And that's exactly the route that they're attempting to go. They will not be successful. And so let me address a couple of these rants over here. First of all, need to say thank you to Counterinsurgent for gifting 5 subscriptions to viewers of the program. Also, Joel Peter Fan said, I was talking to a friend and I was telling him about Rumble and podcasters. I also told him that I get some of my news from a guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt and vaping.
Florida shirts. Those are
Thank
Florida
you, Joel.
shirts.
Tell your friend to stop by. We'd love to have him. Claire Cat also says, Zak and Jordan, my concern is that the rhinos may vote with the Dems for RFK Jr.'s impeachment. What do you think? Much gratitude and many blessings. Claire, I think it's a valid concern. However, both Hegseth and RFK they made it through the Senate confirmation process. In order for both of them to be impeached and then removed from their position, the number of members of, well, first of all, the number of people in the House who would have to vote to, successfully convict, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there is enough of them.
Isn't it a 60-40? They need 60 yes votes?
Well, 60 in the Senate for the removal. Okay.
Yes.
So the articles of impeachment are brought in the House, they hold the trial, and then the removal happens in the Senate. So yeah, the number of people that they would have to have say yes and vote with Democrats, I just don't think that's going to happen.
You have one rhino like Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. That guy is the biggest pharma shill I've ever seen in my life. He is an awful Republican. He would probably vote to impeach RFK, but to get 60 senators, maybe they would get a few Republicans and get 55 yes votes, but 60, no.
Yeah, and even if that did happen, those who voted with the Democrats, I think that they would get holy hell from their constituents. I mean, generally speaking, what Pete Hegseth is doing is totally appropriate, and it's very popular. Same with President Trump. The same is true for RFK Jr. I mean, all the changes that are being made are overwhelmingly positive. And he's done a great job of managing any of the negative press that's come at him. I mean, he's so cogent and level-headed, all right? And even if his voice is messed up, when he delivers a message, he is informed and he is confident in the things that he says. And he can also back it up with actual science. Again, I think that they're using the science of the deep state against them.
Oh my God. Yeah, I saw this. It came out about a month and a half ago. We played this on our Friday MAHA news show, but the videos that RFK Jr. is putting out through the official HHS X page are incredible. There was a video he released where he was going through the exact science of why vaccines did not actually reduce disease in the 1950s and 60s. It was literally everything us crazy anti-vaxxers have been preaching for decades.
Love it.
The main reason that these diseases dropped off in the 1950s was actually sanitation, indoor plumbing, refrigeration systems. People were eating better in cleaner environments. The vaccines were introduced years later and then falsely attributed to the decline in these in these diseases, in these infectious diseases. So it was such a perfect video. And whoever is writing those for RFK, he's got an incredible PR team.
Oh, the social media component for the administration is brilliant. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen a social media team for any of these official accounts that I thought was
Do you follow Border Patrol on Instagram?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. Yes.
It's so great.
Yeah, they're really awesome. And the ICE videos are great too. I mean, like so witty and catchy and everything is memeable. Did you see the White House video that the White House Christmas video that they just put out? They did like a portion of Jill's Christmas video from last year with a bunch of jazz hands flamers jumping around.
Oh my God. No, but you know, I was following Cristiano Ronaldo's visit to the White House, and they did some great PR with that as well. Like whatever Gen Zs that they hired to manage all these government accounts, they're great.
Yeah. Artsy Jones says, I thought polio was stopped by vaccine and sugar cubes. No, unfortunately, all of those people who lost the use of their legs and it was blamed on polio. Oh, we got them the vaccine too late. It was actually from the vaccine. So no, polio was another one of those that was basically stopped by sanitation. And the redefinition of diseases too. They conveniently redefined a lot of diseases right when the vaccines came out. So a lot of people that were getting diagnosed with polio started getting diagnosed with these new diseases like acute flaccid myelitis and Guillain-Barré syndrome. So that conveniently reduced the statistics as well. Some statistical manipulation there. Absolutely. They love doing that stuff. They're very good at it. Now, what else did I have here? Okay. So I'm really excited about this. This goes into ICE and Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So Tom Homan just did an interview on Newsmax where he said that he was just given the evidence to show that Ilhan Omar did, in fact, commit immigration fraud. I mean, we know it to be true already. This has been common knowledge for years at this point. There just hasn't been the will to do anything about it. If it was going to happen under any administration, it's going to be President Trump's administration. So he said that he's going to be addressing that this week. And he mentions in that interview, in that clip, something about, the statute of limitations. I looked it up and there's no statute of limitations on immigration fraud. Like if you lie on a form or you commit a fraudulent marriage or you do anything that allows you to gain access to United States naturalization, get a green card, become a citizen. It doesn't matter when they find out. Like they can come decades later and they can say, guess what? We just found out that you did this. So Ilhan Omar doesn't have the protection of it being several years later. I mean, she committed immigration fraud. She also committed marriage fraud because she was married to her brother and her real husband at the exact same time. And on top of that, she also lied about her identity when she came here because her father had taken on a pseudonym because they didn't want to be identified as the ruling junta of Somalia, because they had, run that country with a brutal dictatorship that was supported by the CIA for decades, and they were responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Somalians. So the name Ilhan Omar, that's not even her real name. I hope that they're going to get into all of that, because if there would be anybody that I would love to see getting denaturalized and deported, Ilhan Omar is at the top of my list. I would absolutely love to see that happen.
I mean, that would be a pretty large arrest if we're going to start getting some mass arrests going.
Yeah.
A sitting member of Congress.
Well, okay. So Flu 222 says, doesn't seem to be a rush to kick her ass out. Why not? Well, I don't know. President Trump has been pretty open about it for the last week. I mean, he's mentioned it probably 6 times. I mean, like once a day, he talks about how Ilhan Omar is here fraudulently. She committed immigration fraud. I mean, if you have the president of the United States calling you out for having committed immigration fraud to come here, become a member of Congress, and then bitch about all of the things that are going on, and at the same time, they just uncovered billions upon billions of dollars in fraud in Minnesota. I mean, it takes time to put this stuff on paper, right? I mean, like, they open up the books and they say, holy shit, where'd all this money go? And then they have to figure out like actual path under which it was taken, and then who benefited from it. They've shown, colloquially, because it's been written about, that Ilhan Omar and her husband, the white guy, have benefited from it in one way or another. So I would say that Tom Homan now publicly talking about it and looking at the evidence, I mean, I don't know who else you want actually investigating it. I know I don't just want
Tom Homan is not a guy I'd want to be on the bad side of.
No, hell no. I don't want just some random career bureaucrat taking a look at it, because, I don't think they'd have the balls to do it. But Tom Homan, I think he would have the balls to say, Ilhan Omar committed immigration fraud. Let's get her the hell out. Don't you think?
I've never been to Michigan or Minnesota. Is it really bad? That bad there in those places?
Hell yes, it's that bad.
Is it that bad?
That's why I left. Yeah. So if you go to Dearborn used to be a charming little place to visit. It was like the place that was close to Detroit that was still worth going to. And even years ago, there were still a lot of people who had come here from the Middle East. But at that point, it was a lot of Chaldeans. Okay, so a lot of Catholic Iraqis who had come here. They had escaped Saddam Hussein, right? And so you had like this Middle Eastern influence, but like they were all sane because they were Christians. And then gradually throughout the years, they just brought more and more and more and more Muslims in. The same with Hamtramck. Hamtramck used to be like a Polish suburb outside of Detroit, where you had a lot of GM workers living there and stuff. And when they kind of started making Hamtramck cool again, like building it up, as soon as they started building it up, they just moved a whole bunch of Muzzies in there. And so, yeah, they just like took over the area. They saw this like wasteland, and they said, oh, God, we can live there for free. We're already living in a tent out in the desert. Why the hell would we want to live in a broken down brick building? We can build that shit back up, and we can get money to run a business. And then we'll also get a bunch of money from the welfare departments. And they were happy enough to help them out and get them settled. And of course, at that point, everybody was so worried about Islamophobia. What a weird psyop that was. Like, radical Islamic terror, then at the same time telling you that you can't be Islamophobic. It was like everybody at that point had this like schizophrenic viewpoint. Like,
if they tell me that I can't be Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, racist, transphobic, that kind of what it makes me be all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie.
So Joel says, I think the Trump administration may be waiting for the 2026 midterms to go after the really bad players. I personally believe that Trump is big on timing, and I think that he's fully aware of the timing of the 2026 midterms. It looks like the DOJ is going to have the election rolls all sorted out. Okay, so there goes their ability to cheat. I don't know exactly what the electronic voting machine setup is going to look like, but I would hope that they're going to be addressing that as well. President Trump just said yesterday in an interview with Politico that the election of 2020 was stolen, and we know because we have the information. It'll be coming out in a few months. I mean, I would imagine that that all of this information is being sat on or rolled out in a coordinated fashion so that they can use it to have as big of an impact on the midterms as possible.
I don't think it'll all be done by this point, but the simple fact that Trump is throwing a huge bonanza party on July 4th, 2026 leads me to believe that we'll at least get some serious initial fireworks before that. And then we'll have something to be excited for, celebrate during that July 4th, America's 250th anniversary party. And then that will lead us towards midterms, which effectively a year away. I think we will see some bombshells come out that will just make the midterms not even a question, just obvious.
I think
for Trump for a lot of people.
I think just like as soon as January hits, I think 2026 is going to be just like bomb after bomb after bomb. It's going to just roll out, and it's going to be a succession of huge stories that will all affect the deep state and, you know, many of these people who've done terrible things. I mean, you know, somebody in the chat said now or never. You know, I mean, like, I'm 47 years old. Okay, I watched the country go through a couple of big dips and almost be lost. We had the election stolen from us in 2020. We brought Trump back in 2024. And this first 11 and a half months, I would say, has been gangbusters. I mean, especially when you look at everything that the deep state did to unravel and dismantle our nation throughout my entire life. And now in the first 11 and a half months, I mean, a lot of it has been turned in the opposite direction. And, you know, I mean, you've got certain things that you've got to wait on. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the changes that he tried to make initially, of course, were then challenged in the courts. But every single one of these court challenges are turning out roses for the administration. I mean, we are winning on everything. And this decision before the Supreme Court with Humphrey's executor, that's going to affect like 4 different cases that are currently waiting to go before the Supreme Court or are in lower courts. So that'll affect a number of different people that President Trump had tried to fire. But once Humphrey's executor gets reversed, then once again, President Trump has total control over every agency under the purview of the executive branch, and he will be able to do exactly what he wants with it.
And I like to track a lot of patterns that go on with the news podcasting crowd on social media. And you have a lot of black pilling narratives come out from the so-called America First or conservative crowd, and so-called truther crowd as well, claiming that a variety of things. Nothing's going to happen. They love that narrative. Trump's owned by the Zionists. Nothing's going to happen, you know, et cetera, et cetera. The simple fact that there is so much doom faggery and black pilling going on also leads me to believe that some things are imminent. Big things, good things are imminent.
Yeah. Don't forget, there's a lot of changes that they put in place, especially when it comes to the economy, that are not really going to start hitting in terms of results until next year.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while during Trump's first term for some of these effects that he instituted to start to be visible in our everyday lives. And in terms of affordability, which is a big debate right now, when Trump first took office, gas prices around me were about $3.12 a gallon. They actually went up over the first few months, topped out around $3.50, and now they're down quite a bit just over the last few months, under $3 a gallon. And I'm noticing, I like to shit scroll on Zillow, just kind of dreaming, looking at big houses and seeing prices and gauging things.
Oh, dude, I've noticed bottom's falling out on the housing market.
Yeah, I've noticed particularly in like the liberal areas of the Pacific Northwest, some of the house prices have gone down a lot, both buying and for rentals. And I think a lot of that is the illegal immigration.
It is 100%.
There's more, there's less demand. So prices are going down with a lot of the illegal immigrants getting out. So housing prices are dropping in some places a little bit, gas prices going down. I haven't noticed food prices go up. I haven't noticed them drop, but I haven't noticed them go up like the propagandists are crying about. Those seem a little stagnant, but I'm not seeing crazy price increases in most basic things. I'm seeing go down, in fact.
No, I am too. I am too, definitely. And there's a lot of illegal aliens that are still here across America. And I think another big impact that is going to be felt in 2026 is the reaction from these sanctuary cities and sanctuary states where they're trying to protect these people. And every single day, we're seeing stories about pedophiles and rapists and murderers and drug dealers and gang members, cartel bosses. All of these people are being picked up in these areas. These are the people that the Democrats and the deep state are trying to hide and trying to assist with staying here in America. Another huge thing that I think a lot of people are going to be very pissed about is that liberal states are attempting to block, well, I mean, not attempting, they will be blocking all of these various Trump tax cuts that President Trump has put into place for the rest of the country. So that means if you live in a place like, I don't know, like Washington, Colorado, New York, Illinois, the District of Columbia, they're actually blocking their residents from receiving the benefits of things that are universally popular with people, like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and the new tax deduction for seniors on Social Security. Those particular states are going to make sure that the people who live in those states are not going to get the benefit of those tax deductions and those tax cuts. And I think that the people who live there are probably going to be like, wait a second, what the fuck? You know, it's like, I might not like Trump, but like, at least he was trying to put some scratch in my pocket. Like, why are you trying to keep my money? That's not going to go over well.
People in Washington, it's becoming, I believe they just passed a load of tax increases. I think Washington even has higher taxes when you sum them all together than California now. It's insane. And people in Washington absolutely hate their government for the most part. You get a few brainwashed people in King County, but everybody outside King County and Olympia hates Washington State, the elected officials there. Bob Ferguson can suck a fat one. Oh, dude.
Let's see. D Patriot says, I love you two. I guess Jordan is an acceptable substitute for my buddy Brad. He is. He is an acceptable substitute.
I do my best.
Mokanon also says, born and raised in Dearborn. We were nearly a minority, and that was in 1998. 1998 is when I graduated. I graduated in 96. So when I was going to like Dearborn or Detroit, I was going to like concerts and stuff, you know, maybe go see the Beastie Boys or something like that. But, you know, there were a couple of occasions where we'd go to Dearborn. And I definitely remember there were a lot of Middle Eastern doctors and maybe plastic surgeons that it seemed to be. Rochester Hills. I remember Rochester Hills was particularly posh at the time. Rebel Nader, am I the only one that thinks we should apply the same standards to the airplanes spraying poison on us that we do to the boats bringing poison to us? At least with the drugs, I have a choice. So, you know, let's talk about chemtrails, because I mean, this is something that a number of people in Trump's cabinet have spoken about. I live down here in Florida, and down here in Florida, we at the state level made it illegal to do any chemtrail spraying. Okay. And if you are a plane that has chemical spraying abilities on it, you have to make your presence known. And that means you have to talk to the air traffic control tower, and they won't let you land here unless you are like a military plane or something like that. And you're not coming here to try to spray. Now, I haven't seen chemtrails in the sky where I live. I live right next to an airport. I live within range of 3 or 4 different airports. Okay. So I've got plane traffic going over me all the time. I haven't seen it really in a really long time. And I think that everybody needs to be very clear on what a chemtrail actually is. a normal plane flying in the sky is going to have a contrail. Okay. It's going to have an exhaust plume, but that exhaust plume will dissipate while the plane is still visible. Okay. If you've got a plume that exits the wings or the exhaust of the plane and it hangs and then it spreads and it covers, that's a chemtrail. Okay. But I've had people sending me pictures of, look at this. They're still spraying down here in Florida. I'm like, that's definitely not a chemtrail. So, but I mean, I don't think that it should be done at all, but I think that the administration is dealing with it.
Yeah. If I were to think back to about 15 years ago when I was living in Washington State, oh God, all the time, just littered over the skies. These days, around the Pacific Northwest, I travel around the Pacific Northwest quite a bit. I see them sometimes, but it is significantly less than what I remember 10 to 15 years ago. Now, I don't know, in terms of the states like Florida, Tennessee is another one that are banning geoengineering spraying in their skies.
Mm-hmm.
How would that be enforced? Like, how would they know even?
Well, first, I mean, they would have to fly into a local airport. Okay. And
maybe not, though. They could, they could just go a route that happens to go over a part of Tennessee and spray on that route.
And that's the rub right there. Okay. Because it's not illegal to do it in Tennessee. It's not illegal in Alabama or Mississippi or Georgia. And you're absolutely right. They could enter Florida airspace and they could spray. All right. But, at that point, it has nothing to do with Florida. And this is probably the biggest downside to this, is that when you see spraying in the sky, you have no idea if it's an official agency or if it's a private organization. And many of those planes, I would say probably all of those planes, are not listed as exclusively chemtrail planes, right? I mean, you're going to have
they're shell companies,
and they're dual use. Like, I mean, they may have like a UPS plane that also has aerosol in it, and they're like, just hit this button when you get to this point in the sky. And perhaps the people don't even know it. But then, of course, you do have planes that are explicitly and exclusively being used for that purpose. And, those are going to be private organizations, and they would only be able to fly out of airports where it is legal to do it. And they just wouldn't be able to land in Florida, and they wouldn't be able to probably encroach all the way into the state. It is a skinny state, so it's possible that they could spray on the shores, right? I mean, they could come into the Gulf, they could come onto the Atlantic side, they could come up from the Caribbean, but they're not going to be able to just fly across Florida and crisscross and do a pattern like they could have been able to do in the years past.
Yeah, it's frankly, I don't know if these states banning geoengineering is going to do all that much, because, to your point, I think most of these programs, if it's not like Harvard or Bill Gates doing one of the public silver iodide dumps in the atmosphere, we're talking, if we're talking like the aluminum, strontium, barium, deeper programs going on, those are being ran by shell companies and shell companies of shell companies, private contractors. And, I don't know if states would be able to do at least all that much, but I don't know. Lee Zeldin, EPA administrator, and RFK Jr. have been talking about investigating geoengineering, but we'll see where it goes.
It's a big deal. I mean, at this point, all we can do, I mean, and the reason we can't just shoot planes out of the sky over the middle of the state, totally based if we could. But obviously, that plane has got to come down somewhere if somebody shoots it out of the sky. So that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you put that tank blown up in your backyard.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want a Donnie Darko or whatever. So anyways, there is all kinds of opportunity for this to happen from a number of different angles. And the only thing that we can say is that this is also the first time in history that any administration is taking any action on it. I mean, nobody else has ever spoken about it before. We've had numerous cabinet level individuals talking about this as a problem and saying that they want to get to the bottom of it. In the same way that they can't fix everything in 11 months, they can't, fix everything in 11 months. So
I think the only government official I've ever heard speak about geoengineering before Kennedy and Lee Zeldin and Trump now is John Brennan in 2016. I believe it's 2016. There's a pretty famous video clip of John Brennan speaking at the Council on Foreign Relations, I want to say. Or maybe it was the World Economic Forum, one of those globalist groups. But he was speaking of geoengineering in our skies.
I've got it.
But now
I've got it.
we have.
I've got it.
You got it?
Cool. Yeah, he was speaking at the Council on Foreign Relations. Here we go.
That's the one.
Yep.
Array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies, global norms and standards are lacking to guide the deployment and implementation of SAI and other geoengineering.
So yes, at this point, when he was openly discussing it, they were really pushing the idea of creating, this artificial smoke screen to stop the sun's rays from getting to us, because of course the Earth was getting tragically hot. We were only 1 year away from Al Gore's famous prediction of what was that movie?
An Inconvenient
Truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
An inconvenient load of bullshit, which made a ton of money, but of course, none of it came true. And of course, AOC's prediction that we've only got so many years left. Obviously, that date is going to come and go. I mean, I feel really good about everything that's been turned around and everything that's being exposed. And, if anybody out there is not content with the speed of what's happening, then I would say get involved in activism. I mean, be a part of the positive movement going forward to ensure that, you have some direct say in how things are happening. I think that's the only way to really feel like, you're a part of the solution.
Grow a garden. They used to say learn to code. That was the joke of, you're going to be fired and have a shit job. So learn to code. But these days, AI is replacing all the coders. So really, learn to garden. Grow your own food. That's the
way to do it. I am growing dragon fruit right now. I've got one, the very first one that is almost ready to harvest.
It'll fruit when you're 65 years old.
No. I've got 3 pots of dragon fruit plants, and I've been growing them for 3 years now. And they are huge, like out of control. I couldn't tell you like how fast they grew and how unwieldy it got. And now I have one dragon fruit that's this big, and it's almost completely yellow. I'm just waiting on a couple of green spots. And as soon as those green spots are gone, I'm going to be plucking that bad boy, cutting it open and eating it. And it's going to be the best dragon fruit I've ever had.
What zone is Florida? What grow zone?
I want to say we're a 9 or 10. We're right on the cusp. I want to say that we're like southern 9, almost 10. Let me look it up. What zone is? Okay, so I am in.
Yeah, and some of these states are getting insane with their regulation. Chat says they're trying to make backyard gardens illegal here in Oregon. Then, of course, you have your Nazi HOAs that won't let you freaking grow anything or have chickens. But yeah, Oregon's getting insane with their regulations on water usage and small scale farming. A lot of these states as well, not letting you collect rainwater because they say it harms the aquifer.
I collect my rainwater. I've got more rainwater than I can ever use. I am zone 9B. So cool. Yeah, northern Florida is, well, Panhandle is 8B, northern Florida is 9A. We are like northern central, technically central, 9B, and then 10A, and then 10B, and then the Keys are 11A and 11B.
Great weather for growing, but how are the soils there?
It's very sandy. So, yeah. I've got garden beds that I am slowly building up. We're like composting and so anyways, it's going to be like a full year of making the richest, most nutrient dense soil that I possibly can. Yeah. And I'm growing little things in pots all over the place. I've got a couple of mango trees. I've got a Meyer lemon tree. I've got a.
When are the chickens coming, bro?
I can't have chickens because I'm in city limits. They don't let you have chickens. Yeah, it sucks. So if I was like literally one block to the east, I would be able to have chickens.
What about quails? Is that on the government code?
I don't know if quails are considered farm animals or not. But I mean, I have hawks. I definitely have hawks, and we've even got bald eagles. So there's a possibility that if I was, if I had any birds out there at all,
I'd have to have them
totally enclosed
cage for them. Yeah.
But yeah, very sandy soil, and it's I'm at sea level, so like if it rains enough, then everything is waterlogged. But yeah, I've got two 55-gallon rain barrel drums, and I would love to be able to have like a water tower and with like a huge water collection unit, but Lisa wouldn't let me build it. She was like, I don't want to look at that shit. But if I could, I would totally have some kind of bird. There's a house like the house that you on the street, one street over, that you can't have farm animals on. They've got guinea hens. You ever seen those?
No.
Let me show you what guinea hens look like. They are interesting. First time I saw them, I was like, what the hell are those things?
We've got wild quail here in Idaho, and I want to catch a bunch of them so bad. They're cute little things, but that kind of looks like a quail, like a big fat quail almost.
Yeah.
But
so guinea fowl, I'm sorry, guinea fowl is what they're called. But yeah, they've got like white, blue, very colorful heads, and I think these are the males that have this crest on them. Oh, look at that. I think that those are the babies, and they do look like quail.
Yeah, quails lay these little eggs, but they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have them like chickens.
Yeah, I've definitely had quail eggs before, tiny little quail eggs. But if I had quail, I would probably eat them. I mean, I would definitely eat them. I would have a difficult time killing them. Anything that I would have to like raise from a baby, I would feel awkward about killing it. But I mean, if it came down to it, me or the quail, it would definitely come to the quail.
Yeah,
I've gone quail hunting before.
Quail hunting?
Yeah, shooting them in the wild.
What did you use?
A shotgun. Pellets. Yeah.
Okay, little.
Yeah, they like
tiny pellets. Yeah.
So, listen, be jolly. I don't have to kill anything yet, but like if I had to, it wouldn't be a thing. If it was again me or the quail, I would be eating the quail. But as it is right now, I don't have to. and I can't. I simply can't because they won't allow me to have it. Zach would cry as he ate that tasty, tasty meat. I'll tell you what, if you want something that really produces, you get rabbits. They don't say they breed like rabbits for no reason. Like, I mean, that's how you can get a lot of meat real quick with rabbits, man. But obviously they're, very cute. Oh, somebody says get a Ponderosa lemon tree. We have a ruby red grapefruit tree, and we have I don't know if it's a Valencia orange or a pineapple orange, but I haven't gotten, those have hardly grown. I've got those in the front yard, and they get more light than, I think even my Meyer lemon tree in the backyard. And we had like three ruby reds the first year, and there actually should have been a bunch of oranges, but the deer came through and they ate all of the buds and the blooms. So I wrapped them in, I don't know, some kind of wire fencing to keep the deer out, and I haven't been able to get them to cook since then. Be jolly, I didn't kill that damn frog. I saved that frog's life. I might have taken his leg, okay, but I saved his life. I called the vet, and I was like, "Listen, something bit my frog." She was like, "Your frog?" And I was like, "Well, he lives on the porch, and I call him my frog." It's like something bit him, and his eye's not opening, and it doesn't look good. And she was like, "What kind of a frog is it?" And I was like, "He's a Cuban tree frog." And she was like, "He's an invasive. You should let him die." She was like, "You're a really good person for calling us, but I can't help you because he's an invasive." We've got so many Cuban tree frogs around. And I was like reading about them online, and and they were like, if you see a Cuban tree frog, you should catch them. And then you should put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer. Like, that's the most humane way to kill them.
Flush it down the toilet.
Just freeze them to death and then throw them away. Yeah, tripod with the three-legged frog. That's right. He was a good boy. I mean, he certainly had personality. I don't know how good he was, but he was probably eating the native species as much as he could. Oh my God. Jojo says, we raised rabbit when my kids were young to teach them where the food was from. We also hunted deer, and that fed us throughout the year. My kids still thank me. Yeah, believe me. I think it's a noble thing to do. I mean, I've always lived in the city, so I've never had to kill anything. I've gone hunting on a number of occasions. And, that's one thing, but I never had to kill an animal to survive. And it's definitely something that I've thought about a lot. Like, if I went and bought property in the middle of nowhere and I just like went off grid, I would definitely be raising animals, and I would be butchering them myself. But, I have the luxury of not being forced to do that at this point in my life. At some point, I think that's probably what's going to happen. I've been trying to talk to Lisa about, getting property in the middle of nowhere, like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, or something like that. And she's like, absolutely not. She's like totally not into it.
Yeah.
You
need to find a state with a lot of public land.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm looking out there. You can get acres upon acres for like little to nothing. I mean, of course, there's no services around. So, you've got to have enough money to dig a well. You're probably also going to want to put in a septic unless you don't mind shitting in an outhouse.
Yeah.
But, I could definitely build us a homestead. I have all the confidence in myself to do that. And if we got several acres, like if we can get like 5 acres, I think that would be more than enough to have plenty of room for animals, and I'd have a nice outbuilding, a big workshop I could settle my stuff up in.
All the damn Californians moving into Idaho and Montana, making the prices go up.
Yeah, I looked at land in Idaho, and it seemed like it was very expensive.
Yeah.
Montana, too.
Oh, Montana's going crazy.
Dude, they had like spreads for $25 million. Couldn't believe it.
All the billionaires going up there.
Yeah.
Bozeman area, especially.
Oh, man. All right. So I wanted to play a little bit from this new James O'Keefe. Actually, I got two choices here. Do you want to look at the new James O'Keefe Media Group expose on a Georgetown University professor? He's a black man who talks about black conservatives and calls them coons, I guess. Or we can watch a 5-minute video of Tucker Carlson talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination for the first time.
Ooh, let's watch the Tucker one.
Okay.
I've seen this, but I haven't watched it.
So there was actually, he did like a podcast where somebody asked him about it. Oh, it was Theo Von. So he talked about it with Theo Von, and that was the first time I had ever seen him really address it. And now he actually did his own little 5-minute video talking about it. So I definitely thought that it might be interesting to watch.
In the 3 months since Charlie Kirk was murdered, I've really tried not to comment on the murder investigation in public. And it's not because I don't care, of course. I love Charlie and knew him well since he was a teenager. But I haven't said anything about it. I really tried not to say anything about it. First, because I don't really know anything that everyone else doesn't know. I've asked around, but of course, how do you know what the truth is? But the other reason I haven't said anything is because I know personally a number of the people involved in what's now become a very large story. I know them really well. And I really think a lot of all of them on every side. Candace Owens, I've known a long time. I love Candace Owens. Blake Neff at TPUSA once worked for me at a couple of different places, and I love Blake Neff. Erica Kirk, I've known since she was dating Charlie Kirk, and I love Erica Kirk. And I think these are all really, really decent people. And so it's been my desire for 3 months not to get involved in any of this. And in general, to think to myself, anybody who is earnestly searching for the truth, whether they're right or wrong, but as long as they're motivated by a desire to find out what happened and therefore honor Charlie's memory by getting to justice, anyone who's doing that, I'm not going to criticize. Again, no matter what track they're on, lots of us, and this has certainly happened to me, have good moments, but good motives, but wind up in the wrong place. But it's a sincere mistake. So that definitely happens. I have done that, and so I've just wanted to stay out. And then the other day, I had like a 3-hour conversation with Theo Von, and it was not about Charlie Kirk or anything related to it, but that topic came up. And I said, in effect, I don't trust the FBI. And that gave some people the impression that I was, accusing them of being involved in Charlie's assassination. And of course I wasn't. And I certainly didn't mean to. But it gives me the chance now to say what I think, which is that we should not necessarily trust the FBI. And by the way, why would we? It's not an attack on, the political leadership of it. I've known Dan Bongino, for example, for a long time, and like Dan, and don't imagine he would ever be involved in intentionally covering up a murder of somebody. I don't believe that. But Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, for that matter, are at the top of the org chart, but this is a huge organization, and parts of it act independently from leadership. That's the nature of bureaucracy. So saying, well, I like Dan Bongino and don't think he would do something wrong on purpose, which is how I feel, doesn't mean that I trust the FBI or have to trust the FBI. And again, why would I? If there's one lesson of the last election, the 2024 election, it's that a lot of our biggest systems, our biggest institutions have rot in them, and that needs to be reformed. And as if we needed more proof of it, we'd learned what a lot of us suspected for years, that January 6th was in effect a setup, and the FBI was key to that setup. And it's still not clear that everyone involved in that setup at the FBI has been fired or punished for that. So no person, no American is under some moral obligation to believe everything the government tells you, particularly institutions or agencies that have a long documented, factually documented track record of committing crimes, participating illegally in our political system, for example, as the FBI has done, manufacturing crimes, setting people up, distorting justice. That's the opposite of their job, of course, which is to get to justice through facts and then to tell the rest of us how they arrived at this conclusion, to prove to the rest of us that the right people are being punished. So we're not under any obligation. Of course, we shouldn't like invent theories to discredit the FBI, but it's not enough to have government officials tell us, well, this is the truth. We have a right, probably an obligation to say, well, can you prove it? And if you can't, I don't have to believe you. So if there's one thing that bothers me above all about the investigation into Charlie Kirk is that that is getting lost as people argue over what happened. We are potentially letting our largest federal law enforcement agency off the hook. It is the job of the FBI to find out what happened and to tell the rest of us, not hide behind, well, it's national security, confidential sources. No, tell us what happened. Show us what happened. Convince us what happened. That's your job. And we shouldn't accept anything less. And by the way, when we do accept something less, then, you know, new explanations fill the vacuum left by the FBI, which we pay to explain to us what happened. And so I'm going to really do my best not to talk about things I don't understand, state things as though I know them when I don't know them. I'm going to do my best to stay out of it because I love Charlie and I want justice to be done in this case. But the rest of us should remain skeptical. We have a duty to remain skeptical, and we should not be ashamed of our skepticism. Thanks.
So, I mean, I don't disagree with anything that he said.
I agree with his assertion of questioning authority and questioning everything.
Yes.
I disagree with his beginning assertion that just because somebody claims to be searching for truth, that to me, that doesn't necessarily mean we take them for their word.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Plenty of people virtue signal as truth seekers. Meanwhile, their true agenda is something self-serving, whether it's money, engagement, clicks, or they have some ulterior motive of putting out disinformation amongst the truth they share. And so I think Tucker is being a little too gracious with that point.
Okay, yeah, I am with you on that. I am with you on that. But generally, in the overarching sense of questioning authority and demanding accountability, I mean, I think that that's totally fair.
Yeah.
You know, I think that there's multiple camps of people that are passing off disinformation. You've got you got bad actors, right? I mean, people who know that they are claiming or just asking questions, and they're passing off bad information in the service of that. And then you've got people who perhaps are earnest, but they're being given bad information.
Those are the useful idiots.
Yes, the useful idiots. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you've got probably people who fall somewhere in between, who may be controlled, but they're given just enough license to do perhaps some good work. But then there are times where they have to toe the line, and they're told that, you know, now they're going to have to, you know, insert this narrative into whatever it is that they've been talking about. John Kiriakou had said something totally incredible the other day, which I think has probably happened quite a bit. He said the easiest thing in the world is to turn an influencer because all you have to do is find somebody who's, you know, gaining popularity, who, you know, people trust, and then you show up at their house and you lay out a portfolio of like all their dirtiest secrets, you know, like all the porn they've been looking at, all of the, you know, disgusting things that they do when nobody's looking, everything that they could have ever done to compromise themselves. And you say, okay, so we're going to tell everybody about all of this unless you do what we tell you from time to time. And then there you go. You know, I think most of the people, and this is exactly what happens in Washington, D.C. as well, right? I mean, like the currency of blackmail is how Washington, D.C. is ran. And I think that's why you'll see people who, you know, will at times do things that are wonderful for the American people. And then other times when the decision is so obvious, but then they do the exact opposite. You're like, what the hell is going on with this person? You know, why is it that, you know, after everything they've said, now suddenly they're doing something which is mystifying? And I think it's because they've been controlled to the point where, like, okay, you can go this far, but you can't go that far.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame. And it makes me eternally grateful that I don't have any secret porn on my computer, because the CIA ain't going to find shit on me.
I mean, the nature of podcasting, of course, there's some good influencers out there with good heads on their shoulders and,
Sure,
good people, right? So, but the nature of podcasting and content creation and quote unquote influencing, it's a business that attracts the narcissistic type of people, because it's very easy to get an audience and manipulate that audience with narratives. You can uptalk yourself and sell yourself as being so much better and greater of a person than you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to put on a persona in front of a camera. And then, the narcissistic types will gravitate towards social media influencing so they can seek that validation, that engagement, or that money or money that they're so desperately craving. So
celebrity, fame, power.
Exactly. So the way people will just jump to conclusions and outright believe hook, line, and sinker what any of these podcasters claim. I mean, the past few days, I've been watching this giant drama fest between Tim Pool and Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes and all these people. And they want you to take sides and they want you to be on my team or whatever. I'm just like, they're all idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Pool, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, they're all just so arrogant and really not that intellectually impressive. And oh man, I just can't stand a lot of these mainstream influencing class type people.
It is pretty annoying. Raw Shark Live says, as if they couldn't put anything they want on your computer, Zach, you know better. No, I absolutely know that. But I also know who I am. And I am 100% comfortable in standing in everything that I believe and the things that I say. So I would never be able to be turned because I would be threatened by something. I would blow that up and I would stand on my integrity, and I would never allow that to happen. I would burn everything down if that's what it took, just because nobody is going to represent me as anything other than I am.
I mean, if some black suit showed up at my front door, I would live stream immediately and be
no
like,
shit, that's what I'm saying.
Which is why I don't get when you have people like Candace claim there's a giant French assassination attempt against her. Tim Pool, I guess, is now claiming the Germans are trying to assassinate him. It's like,
the Germans?
Yeah, I think there was a clip of him today where he's going on about some assassination plot against him. Or at the very least, the other day, Tim Pool claimed that there were some shots fired near his compound.
I definitely saw that. Yeah.
I'm like, why did you not have security cameras on that gate? And why do I not have like at least a 5-second clip of the alleged event that you're allegedly saying alleged happened? It's wild, man. The shit these influencers say with like zero to no proof or evidence, and then their followers just automatically believe them. I don't know.
It's a wild thing. Absolutely wild. All right, you guys, we have one final sponsor of tonight's program. That's going to be us at Soft Disclosure.
The fruit of their art is empty, always teaching us.
This is not us. Hold on just a second. The which one is the Soft Disclosure ad? Okay, I think it's this one. I'm so sorry. It's you know what? Hold on. Let me download it. I don't think it's actually uploaded into the download linked file. There we go. And add file, downloads. Oh God, that didn't work.
Well, let's do this. Soft Disclosure is amazing. You should try it. Go to softdisclosure.com and try it. How about that? Did I do it?
Hold on. I need to I for some reason it's not letting me download it, so I have to do it a very different way. Okay. And here we go. Share this one instead. Okay. And boom, boom, boom.
New favorites for the season. The lotion, your 5-ounce favorite, is still here. And now we've added full 11-ounce bottles. New lavender tea tree deodorant, clean, calm, and effective. New tallow bars, chamomile lemon rose and naked. Rich moisture that actually works. And now the lineup is complete. Beard oil in unscented and spiced vanilla. Palo lip balms, available in chamomile mint, vanilla, naked, and vanilla tangerine. Aloe bar minis for pocket-ready hydration. Available in vanilla coffee and naked. And finally, lavender vanilla lotion. Clean, calm, and made to work. Visit softdisclosure.com. Use code Badlands and get 15% off. Soft Disclosure, for truth you can gift.
All right, softdisclosure.com. Use the code Badlands, get 15% off. Merry Christmas to everybody. Final thank yous that we've got over here from our friends over on Rumble. First of all, no gold pills over on Pilled, but thank you very much for the people watching on Pilled. Let's see. RC Jones says, great show. If you like squash and you have a palm tree, yes, and yes, get a Kuzaza squash, Italian squash, very easy to grow, climbs up the palm tree, and leaves make a great soup. God bless. Okay, thank you for the tip. KG for USA. I used to like Candace until I looked into her background and employment history. She's an opportunist and attention whore. That's probably why Charlie separated from her. And then Matt VK says, co-founder, giving a little back. Thank you. Thank you for supporting us from the very beginning. All right. Jordan, what do you have coming up, and when is the next time people can catch you?
Every morning on Pilled, I do a show at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, just hanging out, shooting the shit, getting ready for the day, talking to people. And then Friday, MAHA News here on Badlands, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. My co-host Nate and I, we cover MAHA News of the week. And then I stream on my own channels, Rumble, YouTube. Now that I got YouTube back, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Time zones always get me. So pretty much every day streaming somewhere.
All right, good stuff. Well, I am live on my channel, rumble.com/redpill78, redpill78, unpilled, X, Getter, and Kick, even Kick.
Even Kick, still doing Kick?
Yeah, you know what? I don't have to do anything. It's already in there. So
it's just a button on Restream you click.
Yeah,
good to go.
Just there. So anyways, 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And then tomorrow at 4, I will be live here again on Badlands with Adel and maybe Frank for Taking It Back. So join us or don't. Either way, we hope to see you again in another world. So thank you very much for being here. Let me see. What should I do as the outro video? All we have is just a bunch of clips. So what I'm going to do is play a President Trump answering a question to the fake news media today as the outro, and we will see you guys next time.
Hasn't released the video of the second strike.
No, he hasn't. I thought that issue was dead. You're surprised you bring it up. You must be CNN.
Lawmakers are still
Are you
talking about it
CNN?
on the Hill.
Are you CNN?
I am a CNN.
Oh, gee, I'm shocked to find out.
The lawmakers are still talking about it on the Hill.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about lawmakers. Which lawmakers are you talking about?
Most of the Democrats have been talking about
Democrats?
trying to release
I
it.
mean, the people that you work for, the Democrats? You know you work for the Democrats, don't you? You're basically an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hasn't released the video.